Hey guys, so you might have heard about elevator pitches, but we're thinking, how do I do one? Why do I need it? And so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you a quick guide to making an elevator pitch. Now, the reason why I think an elevator pitch is important is because it provides a very short but succinct introduction into who you are, what you do, why you do it. So if you met someone for the first time, and typically when you're at networking events and so on, someone might come up to you and they say, hey, who are you? What do you do? And often, most adults, if we're really honest, give really, really long explanations about what they do, their life, their kids, their pets, all sorts of random, quite frankly, useless information, but they're not getting to the point of what they do, why they do it, and how. And so it's so important to have an elevator pitch prepared to provide that insight. So an elevator pitch, by definition, the idea is you go into, let's say, a corporate, quite tall building, and you go up to the lift. In the UK, we should call it a lift pitch, but it's just not as sexy, so we stick with the American version. So you walk up to the lift, you press for the lift, you get in, and the corporate or business person of your dreams walks into that lift. They press for the 10th floor, and they turn to you and they say, what do you do? You've got approximately 30 to 60 seconds to say what you do in a way that's interesting and compelling enough that they then want to find out more about you, take your business card, follow up, and so on, right? That is the premise of the pitch. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds quite good, Bianca, but how often do you meet people in lifts? Quite a lot, to be frank, but maybe I'm just that type of person that talks to everyone. But if you're out and about and you're at networking events, maybe you're doing an online session, you might have a round table scenario where everyone goes around and introduces themselves, you want to be prepared with that introduction. Now, there's an update on LinkedIn which allows you to have your elevator pitch on your profile so that someone gets to kind of get a feel for who you are. They get that interaction, your voice, your facial expressions, and so on. So if you want to be prepared with that, you need to be prepared with an elevator pitch. Now, before I break down how you can write yours, I'm going to give you one of mine. I say one of because I do believe in having multiple versions of that elevator pitch, depending on the audience you're speaking to or, what the occasion is and so on. So here is an example. And we're going to start the timer. Let's see how well I do with this. I'm hoping it's under 30 seconds, right? So timer, ready to go. Okay, so hi, I'm Bianca Miller-Cole, founder and director of the go-to personal branding company, the B Group. I worked for the world's largest management technology consultancy firm for approximately 912.5 days before deciding to leave my career to follow my passion. I now advise individuals on how to build a strong and reputable personal brand. Timer stop. I'm hoping that's in time. So I think it's important that you have an elevator pitch. Now, there are a few key factors that you want to include in that pitch. So number one is, who are you? Now, when we think about you answering who you are, typically what happens is most people rely on a title. For example, they're an accountant, for example. They'll just say, oh yeah, I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer. Like, that doesn't provide enough insight. Or they're a business partner, or they're a VP. That is great. It's a good title, and you might want to associate that title with the organization you work for. If that organization is quite prestigious, that might work really well in terms of setting the tone and your credibility. However, you then want to be able to describe what that means. So what does that mean to the person listening? So it's not just a title. What is it that you actually do? How do you do it? And that's what we want to be describing in this. So number one, who are you? So that's, your name, your title, where you work. It might be an illustration of what that means. So you could say I'm an accountant, or you could say I help my business customers save money or save X percentage of money, right? Then the second thing is something measurable, something impactful, something memorable about you. So that's why in mine, I talked about the 912.5 days that I spent in a career before leaving my job to find my passion. Now, it sounds really random. You're like, why does she count the number of days, including a 0.5, right? A decimal. And the reality is, it's not because I hated my job, it's just because it works. That's just how long I was working there, right? So it helps to use numbers, because numbers can often build the credibility and it helps that person to have an insight. So if, for example, you manage a huge team, you might say the number of people you represent. If you manage a big budget, you can say the amount of budget. If you helped your client save money, you can say a percentage. Like, those things, again, will illustrate the impact that you have. You may choose in that section to say something extracurricular. You may be painting a picture of the person you are behind the career, for example, because that might resonate with the audience. So you might say, I raised money for charity, or I did a walk, or I'm really interested in this, whatever that is, you could say that in that middle piece. But then you want to bring it back to business. So the final part, you want to illustrate and allude to the impact you have. So what you do, why you do it, right? So you want to be able to articulate how you add value. And that is your closing piece. That makes that person you're speaking to really understand what it is you do, why you do it, and how you do it, and maybe how you can help them. Now, it's not as direct as that final bit might be called, what do you want, right? But it shouldn't be as direct as I want you as a client, or I want people like you, I want to help you. It's more wholesome than that. I want to help individuals define their personal brand, for example. I want to help my clients understand how to increase their customer profile, or how to increase their revenue by X%, like that sort of level of clarity, so that person has a better understanding. So now what happens as a result of that elevator pitch is that person will then ask the questions that they think are most relevant to them. So as opposed to what most people do, which is give this really long story that doesn't leave much to be asked about, by giving the elevator pitch, you've given them some kind of bullet points, some higher level impactful content, and then they can ask the questions they feel most relevant to them to really get an understanding of who you are and continue that conversation. Because the elevator pitch is just the start of that conversation, but it's better to be prepared. I hope that helps, and I look forward to hearing your elevator pitches. Feel free to post them on social media and tag me in. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see the work that you're doing. Best of luck.